Robert's hand seems like it's maybe a preordain or a ponder away from being really good. He has two familiars, which is really good. He can't play one of them currently. He does have a Cloud of Fairies. He also doesn't have any way to draw cards outside of cycling the Cloud of Fairies, but you don't really want to be doing that with the deck. You have the capability to do it just because you have ways to getting it back. Rom's hand's actually pretty good too. He has turn one place. I mean, he can curve out fairly well here, and if Robert doesn't have response.
Yeah, we've got, what does he got like starting off?
So he has a Flare Husk. He has the Auriac Sun Chaser, which is a 3/3 flyer when you have Metalcraft, which he should by turn
pretty
two.
quick. He's got a Lightning Bolt to start.
There's Vault Scourge, which carries a Flare Husk pretty well, and then also Pauper
All-Star.
All-Star, yeah, and Standard All-Star when he was there, Squadron Hawk. One of the few ways that Rom has ways of getting card advantage in this deck
is through Squadron Hawk. But, yep, looks like he's going to run a quick Vault Scourge. It's not going to do him a whole lot of good against Robert's deck.
It's just a beater at this point.
It's basically just a 1/1 beater that's going to get some equipment in eventually.
So Robert did keep his hand. I think I don't disagree with it just because his hand's probably better than just a random 6. He's also on the draw, so...
Yeah. And the question is going to be how quick is Rom's hand, because I think that's going to be the big way that he beats Robert. Now, this Porcelain Legionnaire is a good draw, and it's going to really turn up the clock on Rom's hand, assuming he plays it.
I suspect he's probably just going to play the Sun Chaser, but it might not be incorrect to play the...
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. They're both 3/3s, so 3 damage a turn.
The main difference is flying. Rom knows that Robert's playing basically roadblocks. I mean, Nightscape Familiar doesn't just serve as a way to lessen your spells. It also blocks really well because it can regenerate.
Yep, and the Sunscape Familiar's an 0/3, so it can get in the way of some
quite a few
weaker bodies. So it looks like Robert's drawn into another Cloud of Fairies. Still looking for some lands. I mean,
he might end up cycling one of the fairies here.
I don't think that's... Yeah. I mean, he could also...
Not right now, but eventually.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Well, he might... He's probably going to play this Nightscape Familiar. Because that'll let him net a little bit of mana through the fairy so he can start playing other spells.
Right. Yeah, I think Nightscape Familiar is the best play.
Yep. Just kind of be content with... oh, nope. He's passing through. It looks like he's going to go ahead and... Yeah, I don't know how to get the rest of the bottom of the cards.
He might just, snap to keep Rom on.
Give him a little bit of time.
Yeah. I mean, he can double snap.
If he's going to snap, he'll probably snap and then maybe cycle a Cloud of Fairies. I don't know why it's not letting me.
You don't really want to be using your snaps defensively like this. I think Robert knows that, but so does Rom. So if Rom sees this, then this is a pretty good indication that he has ammo back. That's actually a really good play. He bounced the Vault Scourge, so the Sun Chaser lost its flying.
Oh yeah, good thought. So now it was just a 1/1. I guess it's kind of an argument for playing the Porcelain Legionnaire, but it's not normally something you have to worry about.
Yeah, the Legionnaire is much more efficient with your mana. I guess he could have gone Vault Scourge and Flare Husk, but that doesn't put out as much damage.
Yeah, he probably didn't think there was much of a difference between the two. So next we're gonna go to Robert's side. Oh, Robert's debating cycling one of these Cloud Fairies. He only needs one to go off with the combo, so it's completely reasonable he'll cycle one here. Especially if he's not too worried about Rom with having a lot of burn or different disruption. No, it looks like he kept him.
Wow. So the Compulsive Research is a really good draw there.
Yeah, that's...
He's not going to play it here, but he's just going to play the Familiar and pass. And maybe... Actually, Fairies isn't too bad. Or Snap.
Well, he's keeping up mana for Snap again. Yeah. I think he's looking to Snap one of these two, just because he probably can't afford to take another 6 damage this early on, especially when he's got the Snap. He's not really He's not hurting on mana either. I mean... those Cloud of Fairies are already generating 1 apiece, which will be good for the Compulsive Research. Not great, but good enough.
So I think Rom is going to play it smart here and play a creature, or an artifact rather, pre-combat. Just so that if Robert tries the same thing and snaps his Legionnaire, that is, Sun Chaser will lose its flying. So smart play there.
Yeah, well, he's debating which one it looks like. He could play the Scourge, or he could bolt the Maybe he's looking at bolting the familiar?
I don't think bolting the...
Oh, okay. I mean, clear out the blocker. He might have thought that Robert was putting in the way of the Legionnaire.
I guess to be fair, that this also makes Robert make the decision now on whether he's going to snap or not, and it gives Rom more information
True.
moving forward, and it allows him to spend his turn more efficiently.
Because he needs that familiar there to be able to afford the snap.
Although, I mean, Lightning Bolt is Robert's, or rather, Rom's really only way to interact with Robert's creatures. So, if Robert goes off, Lightning Bolt's really all he's got to work with.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, Robert doesn't have any way to generate fast mana if this familiar's gone.
That's true.
He might have to snap the familiar, which would be really awkward, because that would pretty much put him back on 2 turns and leave 6 damage coming in.
Right, and then Rom probably plays out another Sun Chaser. So
yeah, between those 3 Bastion and next turn and 2. Okay, looks like he just let everything pass through, so nothing happened there, and looks like Robert's not going to be able to do anything for the rest of the turn.
I think unless Robert draws like a Ponder or a White Source, he's probably going to Compulsive and just try and set things up a little better.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a whole lot of room to set things up. He just went to first strike damage. He just went to 12 there.
First strike damage.
First strike damage. I've heard about it once or twice, especially when it kills me a lot.
I mean, Robert basically has 2 turns, so I can't imagine him. Well, let's see what he draws. Ghostly Flicker. So that's not a terrible draw.
And it's not a great one either, especially now that the Nightscape Familiar is gone. He doesn't have a way to generate mana off of it.
I think he has to Compulsive here. I mean,
I think he still has to Compulsive here. The problem is that he's dead to a Lightning Bolt and dead next turn.
I mean, he can't play around. I guess he could play Cloud Fairies
as blockers, but
he has to go like Cloud Fairies, Compulsive.
Well, that's another option. He might just do. No, probably do that. Might as well get the Cloud Fairies out there. He could block with 1 next turn, saving him some damage. He only needs 1 to go off. He's got a Ghostly Flicker.
The fact that he has to find more fairies.
He doesn't need to find more. He can block with 1, and that'll still put him at only 6. That leaves 6 more points of damage that need to come in. And that's more significant.
But he's not really working towards a mean or an end if he does that.
Well, he can Cloud of Fairies twice and Ghostly Flicker. Or he can pass turn, which means he's probably going to snap one of the creatures. Unless he Ghostly Flickers defensively.
Flicker, but I mean, that's a terrible play. He's probably just going to snap something off. Rom drew a 3/3, which is pretty good. So
still don't know why he didn't play out those 2 Cloud of Fairies.
Well, I think so.
I guess he can play him at any time.
Robert's hand is very good if he hits a Black Familiar, I believe. Like he can go Black Familiar, Fairy, generate a bunch of mana, and then Compulsive.
Well, he can't generate that much mana. Each of those fairies is only generating 1 mana, and even the first ones. Well, yeah. Even the first one's only generating. So,
but he might just see that as his way to winning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're playing familiars and you're at the point where you're just trying to chump with your fairies, you're not looking too good.
Yeah, you're essentially just delaying the inevitable. And here comes this snap that we know is going to happen. Rom's not going to have any answers for it, but that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible for Rom. He can just play out the Legionnaire, or he can play a Recruit and Flare Husk, which I think is correct. Puts more damage on the board.
Oh, the Recruit, yeah.
But he's taken 6 here, so.
Yeah, Robert's still taking 6. Puts him. I mean, he's dead on board. I mean, we know he's got some cards in hand, but I don't know. It looks like I think you're right with the Recruit and well, he's also mousing over that Suntail Hawk. This would, because he can play this out and still
not Suntail
Hawk, Squadron Hawk. He can play
Suntail
this
Hawk's
out and
a lot worse.
still hold on to everything else.
This is an interesting play. I'm not sure if I agree.
I mean, Rom's as weird as it is, not really in much of a hurry. I mean, he either wins next turn or he loses next turn. He doesn't need to get in a lot of damage. He just needs to.
Robert can play his 2 Cloud Fairies like we thought, and then just chump.
Yeah.
Whereas if he was playing up like the Recruit and the Flare Husk, he would get in at least 3 more damage.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is that if Robert has to chump with 2 Clouds of Fairies, he's probably dead anyways. But yes, I see where you're coming from. Let's see what he draws into. Seagate Oracle. That's
doesn't do
not
anything.
going to do it. Yeah. So it looks like Robert's going to have to go defensive here. All of Rom's creatures are flying, so 2 Clouded Fairies it is.
I think he'll go Fairy, and either Compulsive or Oracle. I guess Compulsive is the best, because Oracle doesn't really do anything. It doesn't dig you as deep as Compulsive does.
Yeah, and especially if Robert doesn't get a white source, it might be necessary to just pitch the Sunscape Familiar.
Yeah.
Because holding on to it's not going to do a whole lot of good. So, well, let's see if he compulsives or if he's just going to ship it back. And I don't know what he's threatening there. Oh, he could also, you know what he can do is he can block Ghostly Flicker the 2 Clouded Fairies to save them. But it looks like he's just going to compulsive.
I'm not sure how many Ghostly Flickers he's playing.
So there's 3.
Bounce land, which is probably too late.
Yep, so it looks like he's going to discard
Actually,
one of those familiars and then maybe the...
I mean, if he didn't have to chump with the fairies...
Yeah, he'd be in a lot better
let's
spot.
see, 3, 4, 5. So I guess he can technically stay alive if he doesn't block one of the 3/3s, and then he has a chance.
Yeah, that puts him at 5 life.
But things have to go... they have to go pretty well, because he has no way to really dig for cards outside of Seagate Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have an Mnemonic Wall to get back at Ghostly Flicker. So.
I don't know if Rom's going to see this, but he could play the Flare Husk. Yep,
Yeah,
could
he
play
does.
Flare Husk and equip it up.
I think he does.
And that will...
That'll be game, I think.
Yeah.
That forces Robert to block it.
Yeah, it forces Robert to block with the 2 Clouded Fairies, and Rom's figuring, well, if he played out 2 Clouded Fairies, it means he probably doesn't have a third one. So we might as well have played that out as well. So...
And then Rom can also play out an Ardent Recruit, so...
Yeah, I think this is a game. It's just going to take a little bit to get there.
No, I'm sorry. Flare House costs 2 to equip, not
Yeah,
1.
well, he's got 2 lands up. He's still fine.
Right, but he can't play anything
Oh, he
else
can't
if
play
he
anything
chooses
else.
to
You're
do
right.
this. Yeah.
All right.
On to the Vault Scourge.
Yep, make Robert make some difficult blocks, and then
Bad blocks.
bad blocks. Yes. Well, I mean they're not bad. They're keeping him alive.
But this forces Robert to go off next turn.
Yeah.
So I guess technically it's possible. He has to draw pretty well, though.
I mean, he essentially has to draw Clouded Fairies, doesn't he? Well, he's gonna be able to...
If he hits Compulsive, that kind of does something.
Yeah, he didn't block the right. Oh,
He did.
okay, that's right. Yeah, he can go still 1. Drew into a... I think this is stepped on Rom's.
No. So.
Yeah, that's not going to do him a lot of good.
So he can dig with the Seagate Oracle. I'm not sure what he could find.
Well, I mean, he's probably if he's going to do any. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and then he can't replay a land. I mean, he can play a swamp, but that's pretty much game. All right, well, we'll see if he sees it. He might just.
That's kind of the thing about Familiars Game 1 is that they, I don't say easily, but they have a chance of just dying to a deck that can curve out fairly well Game 1. We'll see what happens Game 2.
So let's see. So he plays the Sunscape. He's going to play the Seagate Oracle. See the top 2 cards.
I
Hope
mean,
that one of them's a Cloud of Fairies.
He doesn't have a,
he doesn't have a card.
flyers.
And he does have the... Let's see. Snap's definitely not going to do it. He's going to try... Well, it'll get him fast, man. He's going to snap the Seagate Oracle, replay it, and that'll put him back at 1 blue. So this is what Familiar looks like when it starts to die, in case you were ever wondering.
I mean, this is what Familiar looks like when they're just trying to dig.
Yep. Let's see if he sees the writing on the wall yet.
Familiar.
Yep, there it is. Okay.
So let's take a look at some sideboards.
So let's pull these down. Go ahead.
Rom again is working with a depleted sideboard.
Yep. So you would love to have those Pyroblasts. Not going to do a lot of good.
Particularly good.
The 2 Electrickeries will be really nice, as well as these Standard Bearers.
Standard Bear doesn't do anything.
Is Ghostly Flicker only your permanents?
I'm not sure. It's target. I know it targets for sure, but it might target a creature you control.
Yeah. All right. Well, while Jordan's checking that out, we're gonna look at these 3 circle protection. I'm guessing red. Those aren't gonna do a lot. And then the spell bomb's not gonna do a lot.
Ghostly Flicker's land you control. So.
Okay.
Or creature.
Artifacts, creature, land you control. So the
Standard Bear doesn't do anything.
Standard Bear doesn't do anything.
So if he had a regular sideboard, it would just be Pyroblast and Electrickeries, and that'd actually be a pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, and the standard barriers don't exist, right? So that's Rom's deck list. That's not going to be doing a whole lot. Let's look.
Roberts is aiming to, I think, probably bring in removal.
Well, he's got the repeals, 2 duress. I could see the
I don't think duress. Lone missionaries are probably fine. It just figures as well.
Lone missionaries just
Divine
to give
offering
time.
also works really well because it gains you life and then also kills a lot of Rom's things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Hydroblast. I suspect that they're not good enough
because Rom's got a lot of white stuff as well in addition to the red, and the red's mostly burned, so it would be acting as a counter spell.
Right. And Robert really only saw Lightning Bolt, which I think is the only thing that Rom is playing that's red outside of the Galvanic Blast as well.
It's scroll. Oh, and we need to update the scores there on the right as well when we get a chance.
So yeah, but I don't think Hydroblast's correct, especially since it doesn't destroy a red permanent for Rom, or Rom's rather.
That's not what I was going for. Oh, very fancy writing. Sorry. Let's give that one to Rom. So yeah, so maybe the duress. Oh,
I think what Robert plans to sideboard out is probably 4C, maybe.
Yep. Let's go ahead.
Gate Oracles. He's willing to sacrifice the speed of his combo.
Oh, we're in the game already. I'm sorry.
Able to just survive.
So we're in the game. It looks like did they both mull really badly?
Rom mulligan badly for sure.
Robert did too. They both mulled to 6. Rom mulled to 6 as well and held it, but looks like he's got some action. He's got a Bone Splitter into a Suntail Hawk next turn or a Porcelain Legionnaire.
Robert's hand's actually a lot better this time because he'll be able to play a Familiar on 2 and then play a Muldrift on 4, drawing some cards.
Yeah. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. So let's see what he drew into. It looks like it was another Sea of the Cyanoid.
No, it's a snap.
Oh, it was a snap. Even better. So, the Lightning Bolt here might not be a bad idea. Well,
it's either Court Homunculus and Lightning Bolt or just Porcelain Legionnaire.
Well, he probably wants to hold on to the Lightning Bolt to deal with Robert, like when Robert's actually going off.
Well, I think if Robert gets to that point, Rom might just be dead. Just because the deck has so much redundancy. Mm-hmm. I haven't quite figured out when to kill the familiars and when not to. And I mean, you can see here that Rom's struggling with the decision. It's tough. The fact that he drew the Homunculus makes his decision a little bit better to just burn it. But if he hadn't just drawn the Homunculus, it probably would have been correct just to play the Legionnaire.
Mm-hmm. How's he going to do that? Homunculus.
In hindsight, this is the correct play because we know what Robert's hand is, and it slows him down just monstrously.
Let's see. Robert drew into a Preordain. That'll let him see the top couple cards, and looks like we'll probably go into a Demir Aqueduct right after that.
Yeah, again, Robert's just trying to set up. He has his Preordain. He has the Aqueduct.
Yeah, looks like he preordained a Ghostly Flicker into his hand, which he's not in any rush. Rom had a lot slower start this time. I mean, this is turn 3, and instead of having 2 3/3s on the board, he's got a 4/2.
I don't think Rom wants to equip the Bone Splitter here. I think he just wants to play out some more pressure. I guess he's looking to play the Spell Bomb and equip, but
he might be looking to just do as much damage as he can right now.
I guess this is fair because the Homunculus will be able to just hold on to the splitter next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also has the play of Spell Bomb. But I feel like just playing out Legionnaire would have been cool.
It puts him on a shorter clock. I mean, right now it's what, a
4-turn?
Yeah, it's a little less than that once he plays out. Well, yeah, it's a 4-turn clock. You're right.
I'm not sure. Is he playing Spell Bomb's main?
I think they're in the side.
I know there's
I think
at least
one's
in
in the side, but I think some other ones are in the main. Looks like Robert must have shipped the other ones back and got a swamp. He's been drawing
Fairies is actually a pretty good draw.
Yeah, if he could get another. What am I thinking of? He can generate some mana here and could actually play the Muldrifter out, can't he? I mean, that doesn't leave him with a whole lot else in hand, but
he can't. He can't really. He's still really only down to 1 play a turn.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. So when he plays this, so that'll net him 1 mana.
Yeah, so then he'll be able to play the Mole Drifter if he should choose to.
Well, can he ghostly flicker the Mole Drifter? Is
No.
another thing I'm wondering.
Oh, if he evokes, yes.
Yes.
He can.
So so he'll evoke the Mole Drifter. But he's one short.
He can snap, which he's probably going to do.
Yeah, snap the Drifter.
Mole Drifter is a really important card to familiars just because they can cast them for 3 and then either snap them or ghostly flicker them and hang on to them. So it basically just acts like a divination.
Yeah, looks like he drew into a lot of lands though.
Yeah, he's in a pocket of lands, which is pretty bad for him.
Yeah.
So, tap land. If Rom had drawn a untapped land, I think there's argument to just bolt shock the Cloud of Fairies with the spell bomb and then play out a creature.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he drew a land, I think he's locked into playing
the Legionnaire around. He just needs to get that damage on the board. Robert will take it. Going to 12.
Yeah, Cloud of Fairies is just too important to chump there.
Yep, I mean he's not in any real danger. Familiar can win off of 1 life as well as he can win off 12 life. So
yeah, I mean Robert's set up fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
He has some good pieces in his hand. He's still looking for a mnemonic wall. Another a familiar would help.
Actually, if he gets the mnemonic wall, does that let him go off? It might. I don't know. Well, you'd have to ask Robert because he's the one that's
let's see.
That knows
it
the
costs 5 to cast the mnemonic wall. And then, no, I don't think he can go off. Draws a land. That's rough.
Yeah, like we've been saying, he's been stuck on a lot of lands. And the small drifter's going to be really awkward because he's probably going to have to evoke it.
No, I think at this point...
Well, if he evokes it, then he can still ghostly flicker both of them.
Yeah.
Maybe draw into something else.
Right.
I mean, he's already got one. Does he already have one ghostly flicker in the yard?
He's just straight casting.
Okay, he needs the mana.
Disfigure's nice, but can't do it this turn.
Yeah, we'll have to wait. Oh, yeah, there we go. The Cloud of Fairy beats for 1.
So I guess this next turn, Rom just spellbombs the Mole Drifter?
That's not terrible.
Definitely.
Terrible play. Well, that.
Otherwise, he plays 2 Hogs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think just spellbombing the Mole Drifter. Spellbombing the Mole Drifter gets it off the table, so he can't use Ghostly Flicker with it, and it also clears the path for 7 damage to get through, and then Robert's just dead next turn. So
So now
he's putting pressure on Robert to find an answer.
Of course. Well, yeah. Rom doesn't know about the Disfigure in hand, but
Disfigure doesn't really slow down Rom too much because of the Bone Splitter.
The Bone Splitter can re-equip, right?
I guess leaving the fairy back, Chump will have to do it. But
well,
Robert,
he can disfigure whatever the Bone
That's
Splitter
true.
equips to.
But the Preordain, Robert really needs to find something good with that.
Mm-hmm. We might just see Familiar die a
quick death. Yeah, a lot quicker than we thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it is turn 5.
Yeah,
so.
I think. Yeah, I'm not sure what Rom mulliganed, but it must have been pretty rough because I feel like this deck mulligans fairly well. There's a lot of low cost creatures, and you really only need like 2 lands to just go.
So let's see what he gets. Somebody stopped on a heap. Oh, that'd be wrong.
Oh, no white mana. Okay.
No, he's got planes in hand. He can play it, but I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to preordain.
Yeah, always preordain first.
Much rather just see what he gets. So let's see. Unfortunately, we can't see what he's scrying, but I'm sure there's some good cards. Oh, did somebody chat?
I got it.
Oh, yeah. So this must be,
Must be a rough decision.
It must be a really close decision. Boy, I wish I could see it.
Have we found a way to set that up?
I mean, rough. We can jump over. We might be able to. So there's a Hydroblast.
But see, this is the situation we thought Hydroblast would be in. It can't do anything right now.
Yeah, I mean,
he protects him from like Galvanic Blast, I guess.
He must have shipped them both to the bottom, and then ended up with a Hydroblast on top. That's rough.
Yeah.
Man.
So
looks like the Familiar's coming out, and then leaving up the Disfigure to disfigure whatever happens to be equipped, whatever the
Bone
Splitter happens to be equipped to at the time.
But Rom's not going to move it. It trades with the Sunscape Familiar.
So
yeah, I mean he just attacks here.
Yeah, well, Robert did what he needed to do, and that is buy himself another turn. I mean, he's just hanging on turns right now, seeing if he can get to. I mean, really, a Mnemonic Wall, I think lets him go off, doesn't it?
He needs some way to draw cards.
Yeah.
As of now, he doesn't have a way to.
Well, he can get infinite mana, but there's not a whole lot you can do with it. Well. No, there's because you can get the preordained back and maybe look for another ghostly. He would have to get the preordained back.
He basically needs like a Mull Drifter or a Compulsive Research, something that can give him 2 cards.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I think you're right.
But he might just be pressed into blocking here with the Familiar, which puts him in a really bad position.
Oh.
I guess he probably chumps the 4/2.
I think he needs the life gain. He needs the...
Yeah, I guess he just chumps the 4/2 with the Cloud of Fairies and then takes 4 because he has the Hydroblast, so he can protect from Lightning Bolt.
Well, he's still got the Disfigure in hand too, so he can kill something.
Right.
And he almost certainly will this turn. The question is what. The other option is he could...
I guess chumping doesn't really do anything either, so he might just have to Disfigure. I guess he could trade with the Hawk, but that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think Disfigure is probably the best play, and then he just takes
Hopes.
the rest. I mean, he's basically in the position where he has to win next turn, no matter what.
So he's gonna chump. He's gonna block all the damage, but that's gonna leave him in a really rough spot. Oh, Ghostly Flicker and the Disfigure. So he's going to use the blue mana for...
But again, he's using his resources that he needs to combo off now.
What happened to the black... Oh, no. Did he just use the black mana
He can untap with fairies once it comes back.
Thank you. Yeah, he's using the resources he has now. But then again, Ghostly Flicker in the yard isn't that irrelevant because once he gets in the Mnemonic Wall, he can just get it back.
Right, but it costs him to have to cast a wall and then have to play it again, which slows him down a turn. But I guess to be fair, he's not just dead now. So
yeah.
And if he draws wall, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's in decent. He's not a great position.
No, he's not a great position at all.
But being able to knock off a 4/2 here is pretty good.
Well, it's just going to turn a 4/2 into a 5/1 with first strike.
He's probably just going to equip a Hawk, I think.
Oh,
he's going to go double. He's going to go double Hawk.
He can play 2 Hawks and then equip one.
Yeah,
because he hasn't played a land yet this turn. No damage, and then we'll play 2 Hawks out and
hope for the best.
And I hear Hawks hold Bone Splitters really well.
They do. I was thinking about putting Bone Splitter in Boros Kitty because it works with goblins so well.
Mm-hmm.
But it just doesn't really need it too much. Bone Splitter is probably like the most underrated artifact. Yeah, like it's just so good. Like it makes every single creature good.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're playing creature heavy, not creature heavy decks, but decks with that have a lot of creatures on the board, at a time, which isn't all Pauper decks. I mean, there's the Reanimate deck that only gets 1 or 2 creatures. Bone Splitter not really the card you want there.
Yeah, but Reanimation decks aren't actually
yeah.
based on Pauper results from daily events,
they've been having a rough time.
Not a real deck.
So go ahead and
just gonna Bone Splitter up. So this looks like for any of you that used to watch Standard back in the day, this looks like Standard where you equip a Hawk with a sword and just let it go to town.
I will take your word for it. So he's gonna cycle this Cloud of Fairies because there's not a whole. Because playing Cloud of Fairies doesn't do anything, and that's game.
No, he can survive one more turn.
He can survive, but I don't think he can do anything with it. Survive. I mean, he's essentially delaying the inevitable if he plays it out.
I'm kind of surprised he just cycled. I guess that's the correct play.
Well, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, he could play it out, and then he's blocking.
It allows him to trade for another Squadron Hawk. I mean,
but
Rom's almost out of gas.
But I mean, Robert's not going to win by damage.
So yeah, he's just gonna bash in here. You block the 3/1, both 3/1s take 2.
Yep. No. So take 2, go to 3.
He's pretty lucky. Rom's just hitting all lands. I mean, he has 6 lands out, which I suspect is probably like 3 too many for this deck.
Mm-hmm. And the aggro version, what you need 2 to cast Porcelain Legionnaire.
2 basically to cast everything.
Squadron Hawks. So
This is a huge win for Rom if he wins.
I don't see how he could lose at this point.
Again, it involves probably like a compulsive research or
Into a Cloud of Fairies and a Mole Drifter and a
Yeah.
familiar.
It's gonna be rough. I mean, yeah. The familiar deck just is so removal light that like permanents that are on the table just don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, they just stick there. Oh, and second Hydro Blast.
Second Hydro Blast. So
I-
so that's definitely the argument for why not. Why bother bringing in the Hydro
So Rom
Blast?
takes it here. So he goes to 1-0 for this week. That's
So the familiar
win.
and the Stompy decks both lost.
yeah.
Boros apparently
Boros-
is the way to go.
Boros, yeah. Boros Fist, man.